There are many journeys that we take in our lives. We search for places where we belong and strive for a better life. The people on these boats knew little of their futures, but knew it must be better than what they left behind. The effects of the Vietnam War still was vivid years after it had ended, and Vietnamese people fled from persecution and the fear of communist rule. It is unclear how many boats actually made it through. These refugees may have given up their life savings to be granted passage on small open boats and braved the unforgiving seas as well as pirates. Even if the boats did make it to their final destination, some countries towed the boats straight back to sea. Hong Kong was not one of them, and sheltered all that came. My mum and dad were on a police boat launch in Hong Kong in 1982 when their boat got a call saying that a refugee boat had been spotted heading to the island. As my parents escorted the small boat to a designated area, they did not know that they would be adopting a Vietnamese girl 1 year later. My mum always wonders if the women they had rescued that day, one of them might have been my birth mother, even if the chances were slim. I was born in Hong Kong and my birth mother was one of the many Vietnamese refugees. I know little about her or her real reasons for fleeing Vietnam. Once the refugees arrived, there was huge amounts of paperwork and procedures. My birth mother became only a number in one of the many refugee camps throughout Hong Kong. All I do know about her was that she was unmarried and already had a son. She was one of the lucky few that was granted resettlement in another country, America. She felt that she could not care for a newborn baby with little money in a new place. My adopted parents are British. I lived most of my life in Hong Kong, but in British Foundation schools and English-speaking communities. I have no sense of what it is to be a Vietnamese. I don't know what food they eat, their traditions, their way of life. I cannot even begin to imagine what it would have been like to live in a refugee camp, nor can I feel the full impact of the events surrounding the Vietnam War. I sometimes wonder if it was possible to raise a happy family in a refugee camp, or did my birth mother do the right thing by giving me up? I would have never changed what happened though, but it has made me have a high sense of curiosity and makes me question my past. I sometimes try to think about what my life would have been like had I not been adopted. I don't even know my own family medical history. So much has happened before I was even born. At birth, I was given up for adoption straight away and was lucky enough to be placed in a foster home. This family was also British. I probably know less about them than I know about my birth mother, yet they were there for a very important part of my life. After a year, I was adopted by a British couple that had already been living in Hong Kong for many years. They could not have children of their own, so decided to adopt. I also have a younger sister that is also adopted, but her birth mother was Chinese. Growing up in Hong Kong with Chinese cultures as a British person whose origins are Vietnamese has been very confusing for me. There are many ideas that I have had to confront, like what makes a family, race, colonialism, and how these things play a part in my life today. I was raised to believe that being from different backgrounds was a blessing and something that would give me understanding later in life. When I was younger, I denied that being adopted or being in a transracial family ever affected me. But my thoughts changed after moving to the UK. In 1998, my parents decided to move back to the UK after living in Hong Kong for 30 years. In 1997, Hong Kong was given back to China after being under British rule for over a century, and many people ask me if that's why my parents moved. But in reality, it was only because they missed their homeland. The night of the handover was a perfect example of how I feel as a person. Hong Kong is a place that has taken the best of both being British and Chinese, as well as many other cultures that they have absorbed, and become something unique. I am neither, yet all, British, Chinese and Vietnamese, and I continue my journey of self-discovery through a sea of an uncertain past, and will never stop searching for the answers.